This is one of my favorite prayers for generosity. It's a prayer for generosity by St. Ignatius of Loyola. Lord, teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you as you deserve, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and not to seek for rest, to labor and to ask for no reward, save that of knowing that I do your will. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you for joining us. Just to introduce myself, my name is Steve Spentoff. I'm the principal of the Academy. This is currently my second year as the principal of the Academy, and I'm totally enjoying the experience. I've been a part of St. John's Jesuit as a student, graduating from here in 1995, and then this is now beginning my 25th year here at St. John's on the faculty. It's a wonderful place to be, and I hope I don't have to convince you of that now, as you're now sitting here as parents that are now with us on the journey with your sons. So thank you for bringing your sons here with us. As we get started, first thing, of course, I want to do is introduce the teachers that will be working with your sons throughout the school year. Some of these that your sons will have in class right now, some that will be impacting your sons in the hallways, in the commons, or in the next 2 years as they are part of the Academy. Front and center here is Jason Sinkowski. He's our mathematics teacher. Deacon Gillen will be with theology. New to us this year, Katie Linger with Spanish. New again this year, Angie Gutierrez in mathematics. Amy Klink is our intervention specialist. Nate Jean-Louis is with us as a science teacher. Father Lehane is taking the lead in theology, of course. Michael Full will be with us in social studies. His counterpart in crime is Garrett Malone in social studies. President joining us tonight is President Mark Swinkowski.
For a long time, and last year he brought us a state team.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you embarrassing me. Miss Megan Huget is our school counselor. We'll be working with all of your sons. Next to her is Lori Yaros. We'll be with English. Mr. Matt Johnson with science. Sitting deep in the back is Mr. Gordon Bumpus with English, and of course, Mrs. Brenda Knight, our Academy coordinator. So a round of applause for all of them. You will get a chance to meet with them. When I get through the content that I would want to present to you guys tonight, then we will go to breakout sessions by grade level, and you'll get a chance to meet and ask questions to the specific teachers in your son's grade level. Couple pieces just for academic purposes. We are in our second year of what we call the MAJIS schedule. Last year we went to a block schedule or an extended period schedule, and it's presented some challenges while at the same time a lot of opportunity. It's given us a chance to really give your sons a little bit more in-depth work in the classrooms. There is some confusion between an A and a B schedule, but once the boys get settled into those classrooms, the opportunity for them to go deeper on the content and deeper with their teachers in relationships is something that we're finding to be very successful. It lends itself to a lot of things inside and outside the classroom and a lot of creative planning that the teachers are challenged to do, but now they have the time to perform more acts within the classroom, and so that's been a lot of fun to watch that develop now in our second year. The piece I would go home with you as a parent is make sure you're continuing to echo time management to your sons. They will have an A schedule and a B schedule, but they may not have every class every day, of course. And so now there comes some planning and some time management for assessments, quizzes, and tests. If we have an A schedule like we did today, and he has an English class, he will not visit that class until Friday. So in preparation for a test or quiz, it's an adjustment for your sons. So please spend a little time with them to help make sure that they're on rhythm with those classes and preparing for those assessments. It's been a nice adjustment for us to be able to see those relationships develop with those students while at the same time making sure that that adjustment for them is smooth as they continue through the school year. The other piece that goes along hand in hand with that is what we are as a Gurian model school. Most of you as families that have gone through the admissions process have heard about this, but we're certainly trying to get the movement involved in the classrooms. With an extended period, we're able to do more movement, more activities to get them out of their seats. Boys need movement. We all know that as parents. But to engage them inside and outside the classroom through physical play and activities is a way to stimulate their brains. So that has complemented our move to this MAJA schedule with the extended periods. Homework again as well, just to continue to echo the AB schedule and the way it would shifts. Please make sure to help the fellows stay on task for that. And we're going to talk technology in a second that can help you at home, but to make sure that they're on schedule, getting those homework assignments done on time. The biggest adjustment for the MAJA schedule this year, and this was in response to a survey that we asked of you as parents last year that are now returning with us, is mathematics will be offered every day on the block. Last year, mathematics was every other day, and more overwhelmingly, parents' support was for math being offered every day. So this year, your sons will have math every day in class with their specific teachers, so that rhythm, that repetition is going to be honed in. And of course, that was right from you guys, so I appreciate your feedback on that. Power School, that is the place that you, of course, if you're new to St. John's, to go to find all the information that's necessary for their classrooms, for as far as grades and upcoming assignments that will be due. Please continue to check that. The only thing I will tell you is, as a former teacher, don't stress if the thing isn't getting updated every 6 minutes, okay? Teachers will update that weekly, maybe a couple times a week, but every 6 minutes they will not. They know there's a rhythm to their classes and they will update them. If you have questions, you're certainly able to ask, but we try to make sure that there's feedback constantly coming in that digital resource, so please make use of that, and if you have questions, certainly call us about technical difficulties and the like. Oh, I'm sorry, apologies, the battery's dying. Of course it is. No, it's just because it's not catching it. Schoology, it's actually picking up a little better right here. Schoology, that is one of our LMSs, learning management system, that you can go on there and find class notes if your sons have to upload assignments. So Schoology is where you would go to find class content. Power School is where you're going to go find grades and upcoming assignments that may be due. Those two work hand in hand. I guess as a parent, I would go right to my son and ask him to help me understand what's going on with those two resources. The one thing I would tell you is, again, as a former teacher, the way a mathematics teacher may be using those resources is going to differ from how an English teacher may use the resources. So a little bit of a learning curve as you get to understand how these teachers will use those resources, and if you expect one teacher to do it the same as the other, there's going to be some variations. So please be a little patient with us as we all kind of settle into the new school year. Cura personalis. That's a Jesuit term for care for the entire person. So a few pieces that we're taking a closer look at as far as caring for the person. Expectations for myself and the teachers is to make sure that we place connections over content. It's something I've always believed as an educator that, yes, and I think it was reinforced during COVID, I loved the content as a former social studies teacher, but the connections that I made with my students was far more valuable. And it's something that we stress with all of our teachers, is making sure that we're making connections with our guys. Yes, the content is important, and I think we can all agree on that, but those relationships with those students is what's everlasting. So that's something that we're really taking a close look at, along with building those trusting relationships with those guys. It's so much more meaningful, and it's only being reinforced right now as those guys come back to school today, and we start to now feel those relationships that have been bridged throughout the summer. They didn't forget, right? They may have forgotten a few pieces on ancient history, but they didn't forget who Mr. Full is. So those are the pieces that still continue to make connections in the building, and something we're very proud of and we work hard to establish. Positive relationships, they limit the student behavior. When the guys are happy, they're working well with each other, they're working well in the classrooms, they're working well outside the classrooms, and the student behaviors drop. So there's a lot of pieces that intertwine by those connections over content. Positive discipline. One of the things that we're trying to do is going to go with what's called a tighten up. It's a double meaning, both tighten up as in nuts and bolts, but also tighten up as we as Titans. We're going to have what's called a Titan card. It's a positive behavior reinforcement where they're going to be encouraged to reinforce the positive behaviors, and they will be rewarded for them. If they are cleaning up their tables in the commons after lunch, if they're keeping their hands to themselves in the chapel during Mass, we're going to reinforce those as teachers. They're going to have cards, and they're going to get circled and initialed, and we are going to count them up. You're going to hear from Mr. Garrett Malone in a moment to talk more about it, but giving more positive reinforcements for the things that they're doing well. So there are going to be small cards that are going to come home. If they go through the wash, don't call me. They will, and we'll deal with it, but it's a small card, but they're going to be asked to keep them on them, keep it organized, and if they get crumpled up, then we'll keep moving forward. They're young fellows that are learning organization too, but that's something that you can look out for with the Tighten Up card. New this year, and the thing that I'm the most excited about, is what we're going to call a zero gaming strategy. As a parent, I'm sure you would agree that our fellows are addicted to their devices. We're going to take a stand on that. We are going to make sure that these fellows are off the devices and that they're going to be engaged in the classrooms. Mrs. Knight and I have been planning all summer for this. The teachers, we have discussed the title of zero gaming because that means a lot of things, right? We talked about checkers or chess. Would that be allowed? But that's a very quick jump from checkers to Fortnite. Right? I think you can agree. And so what we're going to ask is that there is going to be no gaming in the classrooms. There's going to be no use of the iPad that is away from educational purposes. Teachers all have their own strategies that they are going to employ, all the way from keeping them in their book bags to monitoring their screens. But as a cohesive unit in the academy, we are going to limit their ability to be counterproductive on that iPad. We're going to try as best we can to utilize it as an academic resource, and if it's not going to be an academic resource, it won't be available to them in the classroom. The piece that I ask you is to help back us up. If they get caught, the students will go through the same basic behavioral ramifications they did for most anything else. They're going to get behavioral reflections. That is a piece of paper that will go home that is mirroring a Jesuit practice of reflecting on their behavior. You are a part of that. It's a conversation that I'm trying to start between you, the teacher, and your son to reflect on the behaviors that they had in the classroom, whatever they may be. It's a simple open-ended question, and I want you to sign the document and send it back to us so you're involved in the conversation. If he gets caught again, then he's going to be given a behavioral referral, at which point now he becomes mine. He's going to be subject to jugs after school that will be progressive discipline from a 30-minute jug to a 1-hour jug to a 3-hour jug, of which you will be notified when he receives a second infraction that he's been gaming. Because I want you a part of this discussion. I want you to be in the know. When we get to the third infraction, I would ask that the parents that you would come and pick up his device from school. Again, keeping the conversation going that your son is aware that you know and we know that he's been gaming on his iPad. The iPad's a great device for entertainment, but it's a really difficult device to use in the classroom and keep those guys with student engagement. I firmly believe as student engagement is our chief objective to keep them involved with the material, and if we can't keep them engaged, then we can't help them learn, and that iPad can really hurt us at times. Mr. Krause.
Steve, what's a jug for people new to St. John?
Thank you. Spoken like a true alum. Jug is justice under God. It's a very classic term through Jesuit schools throughout the country, throughout the world. Every school employs it differently. We typically start off with a 30-minute jug and progressively move it to a 1-hour or a 3-hour. So your jug, your justice under God, will be with me in a jug room. As I said, it could be anything that I deem after school. I've had guys in here cleaning up the chapel. I've had them writing the Gentleman, which is a classic Jesuit jug. I've had them sweeping stairwells. Deacon Gillen has helped me at times with having the fellows around working, cleaning up the gym or the weight room. So unpleasantries to not make it comfortable. But before, as I was kind of getting new to the academy, we were using jugs primarily for other discipline means, but I feel this is the next step that we need to take for the academy to start to get control of that iPad. For these wonderful people sitting over here that have taught and been a part of the academy for many years, this is nothing new for most of them. They've done this before. We're just trying to get back to it. And I think largely post-COVID. But we're excited about it. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. But this is a hill we're going to try to put our stand on to try to make sure that we can help inside the classrooms. And if you have a question about that afterwards, please don't hesitate to ask. Communication and technology. Email is the best way to reach all of us. We don't have telephones in the teachers' classrooms. We have email and we have phones. We're all linked by email, so I think that's the quickest and best way to reach any of us, and it's always our quest to get back to you within 24 hours. The Academy newsletter and the Monday Minute. This is always some confusion here. The Academy newsletter is the main communication that comes out of the Academy. The Monday Minute is a St. John's Jesuit tool that is used for grades 6 through 12. Right? And many times the Monday Minute is more heavily focused on 9 through 12, grades 9 through 12. So please make use of that Academy newsletter as our current way to get in touch and get information to you. In the weeks ahead, we do plan to switch over to a device called S'more, which is going to be a more focused newsletter that will be more compatible for your phones. Many of you were surveyed this summer about that and communication, and that is something I'd like to move us towards, to have us all communication that's more compatible on our phones by way of a device and a platform called S'more. So keep your eyes out for that in the weeks ahead. As soon as we flip over, I wanted to get the school year going before we switch our communication to that, because most of you are used to the newsletter that's going out, but please keep a heads up for as that information becomes available. iPad concerns. My advice to you is start with Mr. Ryan Thompson. He heads up our IT department. If your son has a trouble with an iPad or any technology pieces, he's the guy to reach out to there, and he's the first guy that can really help. The rest of us are kind of play by his cards and kind of go off of his notes within the technology, so start there. The Power School and this SJJ app, these are apps that you can get on your phone. If you haven't already utilized those, please download those and start to make use of them and familiarize yourself with those tools. I do plan to use the SJJ app more. It's something that I was kind of getting my feet wet with this summer, and I hope to have more information available as we move along with that, which was, again, a response to the survey this summer on communication that many of you were utilizing that as well. We already talked about the Schoology at the SJJ LMS, and once again, I would go back to your sons to try to get information from them, and if he's still confused, then you certainly can reach out to us and we can provide more insight. A few nuts and bolts pieces before we break up. The dress code. I get a lot of questions about that, of the dress code. I try to keep it as simple as we possibly can. Largely right now, through the month of August, starting tomorrow, we will be in polos, khaki shorts, and dress shoes. We're going to polos and khaki shorts so we can get the guys outside so they can take advantage of the nice weather but not be sweating to death under the heat and full sleeves and pants. So through the month of August, polos, khaki shorts, and dress shoes. Then for the rest of the semester, the school year, once we get past Labor Day, we will be back to our more traditional dress code of our khaki pants, dress-down shirt, button-down shirt, dress pants. They will get a school-issued tie, which we're going to talk about in a second, and dress shoes. So that's our standard dress code Monday through Thursday, with only one asterisk. At the end of every week, the last school day of every week, whether it be a Friday or Tuesday on Thanksgiving, they get to wear their Academy polo with dress pants. You should have had an opportunity to buy the Academy polo. You'll have them ready for you tonight when you get to your breakout session. If you did not order one, have a chance to order a polo for the end of the week, you have a chance to purchase one in the bookstore. And so those will be on stock available for you there too. So that's, without being overly confusing, that's our dress code. And once again, if you had questions, you can ask those during our breakout sessions. Book bags. The high school this year moved to no book bags. They have trying to adhere to some safety concerns. In the Academy, I am going to allow them to carry book bags. I'm more concerned about their organization and their foundational skills as students. We have concerns, of course, with space in the Academy, but we're going to allow them to carry book bags this school year. If it becomes a problem or something of concern, then we'll address it. But to clear up any confusion, our Academy students will be allowed to carry book bags. If you have anything that needs to be dropped off out of safety concerns as well, everything should be directed to the main office, which is where most of you just walked in coming off the airport highway entrance. That will be the main entrance for anything or any point of concern throughout the school day. Myself, Mrs. Knight, anyone else that needs to be in contact will be notified if anything gets dropped off for your sons. And with that, please no DoorDash. You can imagine the confusion and the chaos when a kid walks in with a bag of Chick-fil-A and the other 6 guys he's eating with don't have it. So please refrain from door dashing and dropping off food here. We don't want that any part of the conversation. Certainly your sons need to eat, but there's far more better means to do that than dropping off food and then causing a mild panic within the commons during lunch. Finally, the fall play. If you have a chance this weekend, they are opening up the Addams family. That's Saturday, August 19th, with 2 performances on the 4th and the 7th here at St. John's Jesuit. If you have a chance to support these guys in the fall play, please do so. They would love to have an audience in front of them. They're very excited to perform. And the tie ceremony. 2 things coming up. On Friday, September 1st, we will have a ceremony. It's a tradition in the academy where these guys will get their school-issued tie. Please join us. The only problem that we do have is with our very healthy enrollment of 188 in the academy, I ask that only parents attend. I'm not trying to pinch off any of the other grandparents or aunts and uncles. It's a space issue. So it is a fun day on a Friday at the end of the week. They will get their ties, then they start wearing them when they come back after Labor Day and be in school-issued tie, and each tie is appropriate to their grade level, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Okay? With that, I want to hand it off to just a couple people that will speak. I want to introduce themselves and be able to say a few words on their own behalf of what they'll be doing. First is Mrs. Megan Hugic, our Academy counselor.
Good evening. I'm entering my 12th year now as the Academy School Counselor, and throughout the year I will meet with all of your students to help support their academic and personal and social development. And these meetings will take place individually, in small groups, and in classroom lessons. One of the first things that I will do is have all of our new students in for an individual appointment where I will get to learn a lot more about them. But all of you new families should have received an email from me today too, with a survey for you to complete, an opportunity for me to hear from you throughout your eyes. What are your student strengths? What are some areas that maybe they could use some support throughout the year? And then 2, a link to my Schoology page, which also has resources for counseling and information as well. So please never hesitate to reach out if there's anything I can help support with.
Good evening. My name is Garrett Malone. I'm entering, I think, my 12th or 13th year in the academy. It all kind of runs together after a while. But I do teach 8th grade social studies, but I also oversee academy student life, and a huge part of that is house groups. So if your son is new, he is not in a house group yet. He will, we do kind of a cool induction to that on, it'll be next Monday in the afternoon. And then if your son was here, he stays with this house his entire time in the academy. And what it is it's broken down into 2 small groups, so they'll have a teacher, a mentor teacher we call it, and we'll be meeting just about every day in those for about 10-15 minutes before we go to lunch. We'll do fun competitions, we'll talk about the mission of the school, we'll do, this year I think there's going to be some like mental health wellness one day a week, and one day we call Bro Day. It's just to kind of hang out and have fun with each other. But we compete in absolutely everything at all times, even when they don't know they're competing, okay? So we will actually do days where we go out and the whole team's playing kickball together or tug of war, excuse me, which will be next Monday, but don't tell them. But we also do academic ones. We do quiz bowl, chess tournaments. We do Kahoots, 3-on-3 basketball, video games. We do all kinds of different things throughout the year. But the most important things and the things that score on the most points are not appearing on our at-risk report, not getting in trouble. The Tighten Up card that Mr. Spenoff referenced, if they get a signature, they score points for their house. When they fill their card up, they get a big bonus, and we'll recognize them in front of the student body. And I think we'll even be sending a letter home to families this year, so you know that they got it as well. So GPA at the end of the quarter. So everything they do is a competition, because you all know, because you have junior high males, they're a little bit competitive, okay? So we like to harness that. We don't want to tamp that down. So we harness that and use it for a positive, a way to meet people if you're new. And they're mixed across grades too. So you have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in there, and you get to meet new guys, and you have a team. So we have 6 houses, all named after Jesuit saints. So check with your son Monday evening if he's a new student, and you'll be able to find out what house he's in. Along with house, I also help Mrs. Knight with a lot of our campus ministry stuff, different drives we'll do throughout the year. When different liturgical seasons come up, we talk to the boys about it. When we have mass, I help guys, write petitions and read and things like that. And I also oversee, I'm blanking on it right now, Academy ambassadors. So these are guys that will host. So many of your sons were Titans for a day. So one of the things they'll do is they go through a training. They have to get letters of recommendation from teachers and things like that. But they are able to host our visitors. And last year, I'm assuming we probably had over 100 Titans for a day throughout our year. And they start, I think, in a few weeks. So I oversee that as well and help organize and match them up with our guys that are shadowing based on interest. So I'm student life, so if you ever have a fun idea that you think something that guys might like to do after school or during school, and your son doesn't want to come up and tell me, because I do kind of have an angry looking face. I'm much nicer than what my face looks like. You can shoot me an email. G Malone, not B Malone, that's the principal of the high school. He is my brother, so if you have beef with him, you email B Malone, G Malone for me. So, now everybody's favorite's coming up, Mrs. Knight.
Yesterday was a lot of joy having the new students come in, and today was double joy having everybody together. It's just really fun for all of us to watch these guys, and the new ones gain more confidence, and we could even see them talking to more people today, and that's where the real joy comes in. A couple things we want to talk about. First of all, thank you for those of you who have been able to send in some of the little gadgets that we requested, the marble works, some Legos, and some things like that. A lot of puzzles have come in. Those were requested because of what Mr. Spenoff spoke on earlier, the no gaming strategy. So what we're hoping to have happen is, while they will not have that extra time when they're finished with the test, and other kids are still taking their test, rather than getting on their iPads, they'll have an opportunity to go back to the back of the room where there will be something to do. The back of the room is not going to turn into like a toy room. It's going to have one item every quarter or every several weeks that will engage them to use their time to do something quietly with some other students, and we will be rotating those things. But that is a strategy of a way to keep them engaged and busy, and sometimes meeting new friends. In the good weather, what you'll probably hear more often, if there's 10, 15 minutes left at the end of a class, our teachers will probably take them outside to run around, which is, as you know, good for them, as Mr. Spinoff said, and they love that. So we will be trying some different things throughout the year, but this is how we're going to start. So thank you for those of you who have been able to send things in, and those who are working on sending things in. I've gotten quite a few emails, and that's going to be very helpful. And also, the bookstore, I know that's already been plugged, but there are shirts in the bookstore tonight, so if you did not purchase them and you do want your son to have a polo, tonight would be the night to try to go over and get it while they still have a good supply of sizes. So once August ends, right now in August, any polo shirt they have is fine, but once August ends, the only polo shirts on the last day of the week will be the class polo shirts. And now for something new, a little bit of a new endeavor is our attendance. For the new families, this attendance is going to make it's just going to be what you do and what you learn. For our returning families, there's just a couple things that are different. We're now going to do our attendance primarily through your app. So on your phone app, there's going to be a spot on there that says Academy Attendance. You'll click on that, and then there's two options, and you fill those out. This is all going to be clearly laid out in a newsletter. So this is not, the end of this conversation is not for anybody to really understand, but just to give you an overview. You'll go through the app, and the second most important piece to that is it's really going to be important this year that we have all that attendance by 8:30. So if you know the day before that your son is going to be leaving for an appointment the next day, go ahead and fill that out on the app. Oftentimes you don't know your son's going to not be at school because he wakes up sick. Just get in on the app before 8:30. So sometimes we can't do that, and you remember at 10 o'clock, or you have an opportunity. So if your son's sick and you forget, then go ahead and fill it out at 10. But what I do want to tell you is that you will be receiving 2 alerts a day if your son is out. So you'll receive an alert at 10 o'clock, and that is a state mandated feature so that you know that your son's not in school. If I had already known by 8:30 that he's out, you won't get anything because we'll know that he's out because he's ill. That's only for unexcused. And then if you come up in the afternoon and you need to take him out at the last minute because he has a broken brace, or you're able to get him into an appointment, that's fine. At that point, anytime that type of thing comes up, it would be the best to text me. Texting is something I get right away, even if I'm in a meeting, so we'll be able to know that you're on your way to get him. All of that will be clearly laid out in the newsletter, but that's an overview of an important change that's coming up. So, all right, well, we are really excited for this year, and we're excited, too, for you to break out in your small sessions, meet new parents that are in your grade level, and learn about what's coming up specifically for your sons.
Thank you, Mrs. Knight. So as we're going into the last session here, the last idea, a couple pieces of information. Amy Klink over here is our intervention specialist. She will be available in the back of the chapel in the hallways right outside our doors here if you wish to speak with her on specific needs. 2 other people of importance. Mrs. Christy Schroeder was planning to be here but was unable to attend. She handles all the things that travel through our business office. If you have any issues there, you can speak with her. I have her contact information up here, but certainly she can give you the best answers there where business matters are concerned. And finally, if you have an athletic concern, Mr. Schoen is available by way of email. Contacting him, we do realize the fall sports are up and running, and I'm sure many of you are here for the fall sports parents meeting if you're involved. But all athletic matters could travel through Mr. Schoen as we're moving into our fall season. Lastly, we did this last year as a new way to set it up. Is we did our breakout sessions. This works out as an opportunity for you to meet the teachers, speak with them, ask them specific questions about their courses, specific questions about the grade level and the activities that your sons will be going through. So at this time, you can travel to the 6th graders. If you're a 6th grade parent, our A+ Learning Center will be out here and to the right near the entrance to the school. Our chapel, of course, for 7th grade parents, stay in here. You don't have to, you've got the easy job, you don't have to move. And then our 8th grade parents, please exit through the back of the chapel to the left and go to the Commons. If you have any questions, please address them tonight. We'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, thanks for coming.